All right, well, Jen Psaki will be moving to MSNBC in a few months. No conflict of interest there at all. I mean, she's still right now the press secretary, and she's supposed to field questions from the media, and there's supposed to be an antagonistic relationship between the press secretary, the White House, and the media, because they're supposed to be holding you accountable. Democracy dies in darkness, right? Washington Post. But Jen Psaki now is in the position of she's doing these press conferences with people who they're going to be her coworkers in a couple of months, but no conflict of interest there. And now she seems to really be sort of preparing for that gig. Here she is crying over the thought of kids not being drugged and castrated. Just to reiterate that, she's crying over the thought of kids not being drugged and castrated. The very idea that a 14-year-old girl might not have her breasts chopped off, the very idea that a 12-year-old boy might not be chemically castrated and sterilized for life, reduces her to tears. Watch this.
The political games and harsh and cruel attempts at laws that we're seeing in some states like Florida, that is not a reflection of the country moving to oppose LGBTQ plus communities. That is not what we see in data. That is not factual. And that is not where things stand. This is a political wedge issue and an attempt to win a culture war. And they're doing that in a way that is harsh and cruel to a community of kids, especially. I'm going to get emotional about this issue because it's horrible. But it's like kids who are bullied, and like all these leaders are taking steps to hurt them and hurt their lives and hurt their families. And you look at some of these laws in these states, and it is going after parents who are in loving relationships who have kids. It's completely outrageous. But it is a wedge issue. Sorry. This is an issue that makes me completely crazy. But it is an issue that is a political wedge issue. It is not a reflection of where the country is.
You see, this is what we're up against. Why just playing defense is not an option when this is what you're dealing with. Actually reduced to tears. It's not just that she's arguing for and trying to justify the chemical castration and mutilation and butchering of kids, which of course will be bad enough, but that she's emotional about the idea that we would protect kids from that. Just think about it. And there's some acting involved in the crying, but it's not all acting. I think we'd make a mistake to just assume that that's all performance. That might be a part of it. But then I think you're kind of doing her some favors in a way. Because no, she really is. These people really are that deranged to not only be in favor of chopping the breasts off of 14-year-old girls, but to be emotional about it. She says we have to protect kids from bullying. Well, I agree with that. And there are no greater bullies right now who are targeting kids than the vultures in the pharmaceutical industry and the medical industry. Hey, listen, hit the subscribe button. Do it right now. I demand it. And I thank you for your compliance. It is somewhat appreciated.